Recently, one of my followers was able to get their creatinine from 2.57 to 1.31 in just 3 months, which is an outstanding result. I mean, that's like going from, "Oh no, call the ambulance," to, "Hey, maybe just call a DoorDash. We need to celebrate." Now, here is the part that'll make you want to smash your screen. This miracle wasn't just thanks to his new renal diet. This was also thanks to a supplement that is now banned by the FDA. Catherine here, I'm a doctor in natural medicine, and now it's time to grab your pitchforks because I'm gonna debunk some kidney health misinformation. Lately, it feels like you can't scroll through your feed without stumbling across some self-proclaimed health guru trying to scare the hell out of people about all their favorite foods and beverages.
When you ingest acrylamide, whether from coffee or french fries or other
or worse, watching the FDA ban any supplement that actually has the nerve to work. Yeah, especially those supplements that have actual kidney repair properties. Speaking of which, let's talk about turmeric.
Turmeric. So turmeric is a root, right? Contains an active ingredient called curcumin, and they're toxins.
Which is now a toxin apparently. Wait, Dr. Paul Saladino says turmeric is actually bad for you? Should you give up? This is what we are going to find out today. But before that, I know you're itching to find out about the supplement that helped my follower go from a creatinine disaster zone of 2.57 to a calm and collected 1.31. And of course, we will also see why the FDA's gone postal about it and it's now threatening supplement brands. And it is red yeast rice. Yep, this stuff is incredible if you could actually get your hands on it. But of course, you can't. As we can see, the FDA, in their infinite wisdom, decided to block all the sales of red yeast rice. They are sending cease and desist letters to the companies and all that. But why are they banning it, you may ask? Is it because this supplement is not effective, or maybe because it's dangerous? Well, actually, not at all. Now, here's the thing about red yeast rice. This supplement, if properly manufactured, is perfectly safe. In fact, the FDA has not banned red yeast rice because they consider it dangerous. No. Their reason for banning is that it contains monacolin K, its active ingredient. Yes, the very ingredient that makes it work. Monacolin K is a completely natural molecule that has huge health-supporting benefits. First of all, it's extremely effective at reducing cholesterol. That's why people take red yeast rice, by the way. But this is not the only benefit of red yeast rice. In fact, this supplement is incredibly beneficial for people with metabolic syndrome, especially insulin resistance. So science says that red yeast rice can improve insulin resistance, lower blood pressure, decrease body weight, and of course, lower cholesterol in an extremely effective and fast way. But why is the FDA banning this supplement then? Well, of course, because it works. And most importantly, because a pharmaceutical brand called Merck & Co. was able to patent the natural molecule monacolin K. Yes, this is not a joke, as we can read. You cannot buy this cheap and effective supplement that helped my follower because this molecule is patented. That's right. They slapped a patent on a molecule that existed in a plant long before the FDA even had a logo. And this molecule that's been used as medicine for centuries is now locked behind a paywall so high you'll need a ladder made of dollar bills just to see over it. Why, you may ask? Well, that's the punchline. The FDA isn't concerned about your health. Oh no, they're sending love letters to supplement brands faster than a Tinder match on Valentine's Day. Not to protect you, but to make sure Big Pharma can keep charging you more for what nature's been giving away for free since the dawn of time. Now, I'm not one for playing the Europe does it better card, but here's a plot twist for you. Over here in Italy, where I'm from, I've recommended red yeast rice to countless people, and guess what? I'll keep doing it. Why? Because over here, you can stroll onto Amazon and buy red yeast rice with a certified amount of monacolin K listed right on the label legally. But in the good of all US of A, nope. You're stuck with statins whether you like it or not. And if it makes you feel any better while you're shelling out for that prescription, just remember, without you, some big pharma CEO might have to downgrade from a yacht to a really, really big boat. We can't have that now, can we? And guys, if that last bit didn't have your head boiling, the next entry will definitely do the trick. Sorry about that. So let's talk about your morning coffee and why you should completely give it up. Now, this health scare comes from a YouTube influencer called Dr. Mike.
Making it harder to fall asleep.
No, that's one.
If you're doing high rep pec flies, and
Not
at the
that
end of
one
that set,
either.
Acrylamide is also a
This one.
byproduct of the
Okay.
coffee roasting process.
I'm losing count. How many Dr. Mikes do we have? 3? Is this the third? So, Dr. Mike the third seems to be the most unhinged of the bunch. In fact, he's the only one crazy enough to title a video, "Why Coffee is Killing You Slowly." Yeah, you heard that right. The man's gone full tinfoil hat. Let's see what our caffeine-hating guru has to say about your morning brew and why he thinks it's out to give you cancer, kidney disease, and probably steal your wallet when you're not looking.
Known as acrylamide. It's formed when carbohydrate and fat meet at very high temperatures, and it's what gives French fries that great crispy crunch.
So, what he says is that both coffee and French fries contain a chemical called acrylamide, which is true, of course. He also says that
When you ingest acrylamide, whether from coffee or French fries or other types of processed food, that acrylamide molecule is absorbed from the gut, gets into the bloodstream, and then it's actually turned into a compound called glycitamide, which is a very potent carcinogen as it causes mutations in our DNA.
so if we eat French fries or if we drink coffee, we get this dangerous carcinogen that will cause mutation in our DNA. And guys, please don't spit your coffee now. But what he is saying here is technically true. But hold on to your mugs because it gets worse.
Studies have also shown that high levels of acrylamide consumption can increase blood pressure. Other evidence suggests that it can cause damage to our liver and our kidneys.
Of course, he couldn't resist throwing in that coffee will wreck your kidneys. Look, Dr. Mike III, you can blame coffee for whatever you want. You can say it causes cancer, Alzheimer's, global warming, and a hole in the ozone layer. Heck, you can even say coffee killed your car in the parking lot. But the moment you start telling people that coffee damages their kidneys, well, that's where I draw the line. And that's where I'm stepping in with a giant no and a video to prove you wrong. Don't act surprised. You knew this was coming. So let's take this steaming pile of nonsense and debunk it, shall we? Yes, it's true that acrylamide is a probable human carcinogen. Yes, it's in coffee. And yes, it's in French fries too. But there is one tiny insignificant detail that Mike forgot to mention. As we can see, we can get between 39 and 82 micrograms of acrylamide from a portion of French fries. Keep that in mind because that's definitely enough of this substance to avoid French fries. I mean, if you really needed another reason to avoid junk food. But do you know how much acrylamide you will get from a cup of coffee? On average, you will get, drum roll please, 0.45 micrograms of acrylamide per cup of coffee. So yeah, all this fear-mongering about coffee for literally nothing. I mean, 0.45 micrograms of acrylamide in coffee versus up to 82 micrograms in French fries to zero. And the fact that you could get up to 0.12 micrograms of acrylamide from a cup of water makes all this even more ridiculous.
When you ingest acrylamide, whether from coffee or French fries or other types of processed
And naturally, Dr. Mike III conveniently forgets to mention that French fries aren't even close to being the biggest source of acrylamide. We get way more acrylamide from cigarette smoke, even secondhand smoke, than from any amount of French fries we could eat. So if you're really worried about acrylamide in your coffee, here's a tip. Just make sure no one's lighting up a cigarette next to you while you sip it. Especially if it's Dr. Mike III, because who knows what that guy is smoking. Okay guys, let's put our tinfoil hats down for a moment because it's time for our number 2. For a bit of comedic relief, let's say what the illustrious Dr. Robert Kiltz says about fiber. Is fiber healthy or should you avoid it? Let's take a look.
Is fiber good for us? That was a study with 63 participants, and they looked at constipation, straining, bloating, anal bleeding, and pain. We all suffer from that.
No, we don't. Poor guys dealing with some serious issues. Not trying to mock the man's troubles, but I didn't see that plot twist coming. I forgot to tell you he's a carnivore.
From that. Basically, when you went from high fiber, reduced fiber to no fiber, the symptoms not only went down, on no fiber, they were eliminated.
Okay, so he basically says that in this one study, they took some people suffering from constipation, alright? They had some of them reduce fiber intake and some completely avoid fiber. So they were probably doing a carnivore diet of some sort, and they had an improvement in some symptoms, including bloating and constipation. So guys, for people with kidney disease, constipation is a serious issue since it causes more toxin absorption. Should we all give up fiber entirely? Should we all swap our green for rib eyes? Well, hard pass for me, and not just because I've had patients knocking on my door crying over the 10-20 GFR points they lost after a few months of carnivore diet. Also because that study Dr. Kiltz is referencing is about as reliable as a paper umbrella in a hurricane. Let's break it down. This study was done back in 2012 on a whopping 63 people. The results were self-reported because that's always super scientific. And oh yeah, there was no control group. Which is like saying the study this guy mentions is completely irrelevant. But hey, this is the kind of science carnivores cling to like it's the gospel truth. Yep, there are people out there ditching fiber, which is an essential nutrient because of these kind of studies. But fear not, real research exists. Science, folks, real science. And what does it say about fiber? Well, we've got massive studies like this meta-analysis of 982,411 people telling us that every 10 grams of fiber you eat daily slashes your risk of death by 10%. That's right, eat a salad, live longer, revolutionary. And listen, I know I might seem like a jerk for poking fun at an older man, but hey, the guy's got a tough job. Imagine trying to convince people in 2024 that a carnivore diet is the way to go. And all that while having a bowel movement once a week, maybe even 10 days.
Anal bleeding and pain. We all suffer from that.
I mean, even Paul Saladino threw in the towel on his own carnivore diet.
But after a year and a half, I quit the carnivore diet.
For those who don't know him, this is the guy who practically turned eating like a caveman into a religion. And guess what? He's still shaking in his boots at the sight of a spice rack. So for our number one, Dr. Saladino himself is going to teach us why turmeric and curcumin should be treated like they're radioactive.
So turmeric is a root, right? Contains an active ingredient called curcumin, which is a polyphenolic compound. As you said, humans don't absorb much curcumin. If you eat turmeric root, which is a root, it's going to have some defense chemicals.
Okay, so of course it's true that when we eat turmeric, we don't absorb a lot of curcumin, and that's actually true for many vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds. When it comes to curcumin, the main reason why we don't absorb it very well is because this is a large irregular molecule that is lipophilic in nature, meaning that it binds to oil, not to water. When you eat them alone without any other foods, the human body is going to convert this molecule into something else and to excrete it. So absorption is gonna be poor. But not according to Dr. Saladino here. He thinks turmeric is out to get us because it's a root.
Much curcumin. If you eat turmeric root, which is a root, it's going to have some defense chemicals.
And in his word, all roots are apparently trained in self-defense. I mean, sure, Dr. Saladino, all roots are basically karate black belts.
But if you add black pepper, which is a seed, which contains compounds like piperine and other toxic compounds called safrole, but specifically...
Oh boy, we're just getting warm up. Everything about this statement is wrong. No, black pepper is not a seed. It's a small dried fruit with a big seed inside. And also, piperine and safrole are not toxic at all in normal amounts. So yeah, he is probably going to base his whole reasoning on this golden nugget of misinformation now.
Piperine inhibits an enzyme in the liver called UDP glucuronosyl transferase, right? Long name. It's part of our detoxification systems. And when you inhibit that enzyme with piperine and pepper, you now absorb 1,000 to 2,000 times more of the curcumin, which is not what your body wants at all. It detoxifies them. They're toxins.
You gotta hand it to him. The way Dr. Saladino sees the world is unique. To him, curcumin and piperine are the villains here, plotting their attack on your gut. Why? Because in his head, all vegetables are armed and dangerous, and black pepper is apparently one step away from being classified as a controlled substance. And he also thinks that the human body, particularly the gut, can decide what it wants and what it doesn't. But the truth is, the human body doesn't work that way. The gut doesn't have a mind of its own. It doesn't make decisions. Instead, it operates on a purely mechanical level where molecules interact with proteins, which then interact with enzymes, all following a predetermined biochemical process without any conscious choice involved. So, is turmeric bad for us? Of course it is, as long as we all live in Dr. Saladino's fantasy world, where all roots are trained in self-defense and, well, black pepper is a toxic seed. Meanwhile, the reality check here is that black pepper isn't toxic. It's not a seed, and your gut doesn't really make decisions on its own, which means that curcumin and piperine are actually very healthy. They help with oxidative and inflammatory conditions and with metabolic syndrome and hyperlipidemia as well. Moral of the story: be careful where you get your health advice, guys. Or you might find yourself gnawing on a steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, convinced that salad is the real enemy. And this is all for today. But if you want to see me debunk some more misinformation, my video up here is for you. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Bye-bye.